Today is Monday, February the 10th, and it was quite a busy day up on the Hill, so let's jump right into it. The first thing I want to jump into is the role of the lobbyist in Utah. I've put a link down below that was a little bit interesting for me, to say the least. Had no idea what it was going to pull up. So I clicked on lobbyist.utah.gov, and in there it had records that show there are 5,786 registered lobbyists in the state. That's pretty crazy. The second thing that was interesting to me is I was attending the Social Services Appropriations Committee this morning. We had an interesting interaction. Number one was the amount of lobbyists that were in the crowd. It was staggering. Out of the approximately 40 to 45 individuals that were there, at least half of them were wearing the little name badge that said lobbyist. So what were these people doing there? Well, today, this particular appropriations committee was trying to figure out what to do with millions of our dollars. And during this time frame, a particular lobbyist was pacing back and forth almost like a caged lion, as it came down to a moment where 37 different line items were being considered today. Do we cut them? Do we keep them? All told, it was about $5 million plus that we were trying to balance in and out in order to get to this correct expenditure. Anyways, to cut to the chase, a particular Representative Moss, said, you know what, I think we should put that, back on the budget, this approximately $300,000. It went around the table, everybody voted for it, and as a lobbyist then jumped up, he fist pumps in the air, he gives a little finger point to Representative Moss, and then the call me comes in later. All very, very strange, ladies and gentlemen, to see what's going on with these lobbyists. So again, check it out down below. Yes, out of the 5,786, not all of these lobbyists are active currently. Some of them have expired, but that is a staggering number. There are FAQs on this site and many other things. Also, to jump into this entire appropriations process, today, as we heard from Senator Anderegg, who's been up on the Hill for quite some time now, this was what he had to say when he was challenged with, why are you asking for approximately $15 million? His statement was, always ask for the max because we can always reduce, but we can't go higher. This kind of sounds like me negotiating with my kids, right? They'll come to me, Dad, give me 20 bucks. No. How about 5? How about 2? Okay, thanks, Dad. I don't know what got into our legislators where they feel that this is the right process to go through, but it is really, really disheartening to me. The other thing that happened is these appropriation committees are now hearing the specific proposals that it's going to lead to the funding of all of these other ideas, right? And so it became really, really obvious through this whole process, there's one question that should be asked, and that is, once again, is that the role that government needs to play? Very seldom, if ever, is that brought up. Again, I'm not saying that we should just jerk the rug out from under all of these social services, but we should have a plan that doesn't include let's fund more, let's build more, let's redo our taxes, give me more money. The only consistent thing that I continue to hear up on the Hill is that none of our committees are funded enough. We always want more money, and quite frankly, there can never be enough money. This is crazy, ladies and gentlemen, and something that we need strong legislators who will get in with plans and ideas that can say, you know what, let's look at a 5-year, a 7-year, a 10-year plan where we can roll this back and get us out of this spending insanity. The other thing they talked about was kind of interesting to me, was this idea of housing funding. I thought it was bad, didn't know how bad it really was. So they're going on to say that where they go through this gap funding, the developer has to come in at 45 to 48% of the project's value. And then the government backs the other 52% through a variety of different appropriations. Then the developer, get this, must allow 20 to 30% of the development, those spaces that are available. So let's say it's a high density housing unit of 1,000 housing units. 200 to 300 of those must be low rate in order to qualify. The other 70 to 80% can be much more than that. There are then some deed restrictions that are placed at about 50 years that they must continue at the lower rate for that entire time. But get this, most of the funding is coming through a government entity, basically a loan to private business to say, government wants this, maybe you're not doing it, so government will give you money to make sure you're doing it. Sounds very backwards to me, very backwards. We also had a new bill that came out. It is Senate Bill 112. This one's getting a lot of attention. It's a Democrat, Escamilla, that's running it, and this has to do with the inland port. Lot to be said about the inland port, obviously. This one, however, does primarily one thing, and it is going to get the mayor or the mayor's designee, I think it's going to be the mayor, on the board. I've got the link down below. It signs 154, 155, and 156 that cover this. Up on the Hill, we also heard 16 bills. It was one of the first times we had the legislator body meet in the morning. They broke for their lunch, 2 hours, by the way. I would love to get a 2-hour lunch. They do as our legislators, so is it really that tough of a job? I don't know. But coming back from lunch, they did hear some more. So we got through about approximately 16 bills. A lot of the bills got circled, and the interesting thing is we had 5 bills that were heavily disputed. One of them had to do with the health data system. Again, just building more and more government lists. That one passed. We also had HB 66, which was on autism treatment for adults. That one passed. We also had HCR 3, which was voting for a later start. This one I actually really like the premise of, most specifically because as a concurrent resolution, it carries no weight of legislation. It's just a strong recommendation. And what it was asking is to look at a later start for high school students. It also passed, but had a lot of opposition. So, again, if you're interested in this, check out the links down below. We got 24 new bills, 11 new bills that are requested. Our bill count continues to just climb and climb and climb. And here's the other interesting thing. A couple more days, and we are more than halfway through the session. Still in appropriations. How in the world are we going to get through all these bills? Well, if you look down below, you'll also see most of the bill passage comes in the last 3 days. So hold on to your bootstraps. We'll get there. Thanks so much for watching.